This woman, on the other hand, I'll let you guys determine. Fair use.
A woman in her 40s, showed no concern at all after her husband was diagnosed with cancer. Instead, she spent her days seeking pleasure with other men outside, which infuriated her husband so much that he died with hatred in his heart. But when the little fairy learned that her husband had received 3 million yuan in demolition compensation before he died, she immediately wore a bright red outfit and kowtowed at his grave to apologize. She hoped her husband's family would, for the sake of the child, let her manage the 3 million yuan in demolition compensation.
穿不穿的衣服？这个是谁？这个你问谁？你问他呢？
How is loyalty different between men and women? Well, one is about as loyal as another, though to different things. The thing to understand about women's loyalty that men often fail to appreciate is that women are loyal to their feelings. For instance, if a woman is completely in love with a guy, if she is 11 out of 10 attracted to him, then her loyalty is impressive indeed, and she will remain loyal as long as those feelings remain in her heart. A woman who is extremely attracted to a man will move across the world for him, will change her religion for him, will break with her family for him, will lie, cheat, and steal for him, and will help bury the body with him if necessary. A woman at that level of attraction is ride or die, and she will do absolutely crazy, irrational, and life-altering things for a man to keep him in her life. It's both impressive and terrifying how loyal a woman can be under the right conditions.
What the little fairy never expected was that her affair with another man had been secretly photographed by relatives of the Zhang family and printed out to be handed over to Zhang's brothers. However, even though the little fairy knew she was in the wrong, faced with the temptation of 3 million yuan, she still chose to take a gamble. So, on the 7th day after her husband's death, she brought a mediator and began tearfully complaining, saying that she had had a great relationship with her husband throughout
the So now we see. Terrible character. I'm going to get right back into the video because I hate to cut people off in the middle, but I have to react to the video. But terrible human being, poor character, gaslight, female nature, manipulation of a terrible, horrible woman. And this is China. So if you don't vet women properly, globally, for good character, you're going to get cooked out here. So this is the guy. He's dying. He's on cancer. She's out there getting pounded out by other men. Women are loyal to their feelings. Not all women, bad women especially. So let's continue on. Said the little fairy.
The years of their marriage. But now that her husband had died of cancer, not only did the in-laws not let her attend the funeral, they even took away her and her husband's only son and hid him. Today is the 7th day since her husband's death, and she wanted to send him off one last time, but she didn't expect to still be kicked out by the in-laws, who told her to go back to her parents' home. Even before her husband's 7th-day memorial had passed, the Zhang siblings not only refused to let her participate in the funeral, but also tried to kick her out and send her back to her own family. Then the little fairy brought a reporter back home, saying her husband had received 2.52 million yuan in compensation before he died. But after his death, the husband's bank card and passbook, and even their marriage certificate, had all disappeared. She suspected it was her in-laws scheming behind her back to seize the demolition compensation.
就是儿子被带走以后，这些东西都没了。
是的，
我看这里面有存折呀，有银行卡呀，这些。
这是我老公身上还有一个5000块钱。
啊，这是老公身上掏下来的。
对。
The little fairy's twisted statements made the mediator furious, and he immediately took her to the in-laws' house to confront them. Just as the mediator was about to speak, the third brother rode off on his motorcycle, seemingly unwilling to say a word to the little fairy. From the third brother's wife, they learned that the Zhang siblings were many, 10 in total. Zhang Chong, the little fairy's husband, was the youngest, and was deeply cared for by the other 9 siblings. But the little fairy not only neglected Zhang Chong and their child, She even left home to be with another man just a few days before Zhang Chong passed away. What's worse, as Zhang Chong's wife, she refused to follow the tradition of burial and insisted on cremating him. The little fairy, seeing the third sister-in-law scolding her non-stop, gave up pretending and bluntly said in front of the mediator that she had come only to get the 2.52 million yuan in demolition compensation. Just then, third brother Zhang Jun returned home.
那个的放松是吧？我们五斤油一条草鱼，头发地鱼头发地发通我就发就是这种我的大草头发。
What a piece of work! This woman is outrageous. Not only did she not help with her husband's funeral, but she even called the police to make false reports. According to third brother, every sibling's house had been demolished, and each family received at least 1 million yuan in compensation, so they had no interest in Zhang Chong's money. But it was the little fairy who, right after Zhang Chong received the 3 million yuan compensation, withdrew 400,000 yuan, and then left Zhang Chong and the child behind to enjoy herself alone. Now that she's back, it's probably because the 400,000 yuan she took has been spent. To convince the mediator, third brother took out the photos taken by relatives. We won't describe the exact content here. Anyone can imagine what they showed. But the little fairy insisted that the man in the photo was just a doctor friend helping her with a medical examination, and that removing clothing was necessary. They were just ordinary friends. Besides, one photo didn't prove anything. Seeing how stubborn the little fairy was, the others, although they didn't believe her, didn't make a big deal out of it.
All right. So I had to stop just for a second. So gaslight, the same nonsense that women do where? Here. When they get busted red-handed, what do women do? Lie. Same thing, China, lie. Female nature is the same. Everywhere. She's full of crap, but it's the same. Just like men's nature is similar around the globe. Similar. So it doesn't change. Only cultures change. And accountability changes. That's just the way it is. Let's continue on.
After all, Zhang Chong was already gone. Whether it was true or not no longer mattered. But the little fairy didn't care at all. What she cared about was where the remaining 2.52 million yuan had gone.
你们兄弟几个的这种意见是一致的，是吧？
他们都知道要他保存，
留着给孩子的是吧？
留着给孩子的，他那个人把人家拼了去。
您说的那个侄女是老几家的？
老大人家的。
老大家的。
他那不要他都跟他保存了，东西你都商量好了要他保存。
Turns out that after Zhang Chong passed away, the siblings planned to safeguard the money for him. But if each household were to keep a portion, it might cause disputes. So after discussion, they agreed to let the eldest brother keep the full 2.52 million yuan. The eldest brother had the highest standing in the family and had received the most compensation himself. Everyone trusted that he would never covet his younger brother's money. But if the money were given to the little fairy, their nephew might be abandoned, and she might take the money and marry someone else. That nephew was Zhang Chong's only bloodline, and they would not allow anything to happen to him. Seeing that the Zhang siblings were determined not to give up the money, the little fairy brought the mediator to find her son, hoping to use emotions to sway them.
妈妈急得要死，打电话你也没有回，
点3天灯，
那没跟我说呀。
习俗都不知道。
Facing his mother's arrival, the son, Xiaoyong, didn't even bother to look at the little fairy. He just kept playing his video game. Then Xiaoyong told the mediator that during his father's illness, his mother left home, and he not only had to go to school but also cook and do laundry for his father. Life was extremely difficult. Xiaoyong clearly remembered that 2 days before his father died, his father called his mother and begged her to come home. His father, fearing that she would mind his cancer, even bought a new bed and new bedding. But she not only didn't come back, she also cursed him, saying she hoped his cancer would get worse. Worse yet, the night he became gravely ill, she was still yelling at him over the demolition money. At that moment, Zhang Xia, who was safeguarding the demolition compensation, arrived. Zhang Xia told the mediator that when her uncle Zhang Chang passed away, he didn't leave any will. He only hoped his siblings would take care of Xiaoyong. As for the demolition compensation, anyone in the family who needed it could use it freely, as long as enough was left for Xiaoyong to get married in the future. The siblings said they would take care of Xiaoyong and manage the money wisely for him. But the little fairy disagreed. She believed she was Zhang Chang's legal heir, and that the in-laws were meddling in things that weren't their business. The two sides argued endlessly over the money. Seeing that things were beyond his scope, the mediator took everyone to the village committee for further mediation. In Zhang Xia's heart, her uncle Zhang Chang had always been an honest and upright man. He wasn't very talkative, but he always had a clear conscience. Zhang Xia told the mediator that after Zhang Chang passed, they deposited 1 million yuan under the child's name to be used for his future marriage. They used 760,000 yuan to buy a house for the child. The remaining tens of thousands of yuan were saved for the child's future needs. When the little fairy heard this, she was immediately unhappy. She believed that as the legal wife of Zhang Chang, she had the right to decide how the money was spent, and she prepared to sue the in-laws. But the in-laws were not worried at all.
So basically, even though the older brother, which is a smart, responsible man, and it really is a reflection of what type of character he has. He has outstanding character. He didn't try to steal anything from his brother, and he set his nephew up to have a bright future, taking care of the child's education and everything else. She doesn't care. She just wants the money so she can go live her best life. Again, horrible person, poor character. Here we go. Let's continue on.
During Zhang Chang's illness, the little fairy had abandoned her husband and son and left home. In this case, the court would not side with her. Faced with their rebuttal, the little fairy, already on the losing side, was at a loss. But if she couldn't get the money, she would never give up. After all, she was still Zhang Chang's legal wife. After much argument, the in-laws finally made a compromise. They said that there was still a 470,000 yuan demolition payment under Zhang Chang's name that hadn't yet been received. Also, his bank book still had 70,000 yuan in it. These 540,000 yuan could be given to the little fairy to use freely. But if she wanted to touch the 2 million yuan set aside for the child, she'd have to wait until the child was an adult. At this point, the little fairy had achieved her goal and no longer acted aggressively. She quietly let the in-laws scold her.
你有没有责任？你反思了没有？你做的这些事情对他这个孩子的心有没有伤害？受到了伤害没有？他做得起人不？他不但在这个家里做不起人，他在他的学校也做不起人。而且你还到他学校去吵了，去哭了，有什么用呢？
In the end, the little fairy put on a show by bringing the mediator to her husband's grave, kneeling and apologizing in front of the camera.
This woman eventually got part of the money, but what she truly lost was a husband who once cherished her like his life, a son who saw through her completely, and a family that would never accept her again. A terminally ill husband begged her to come home on the phone, but she not only didn't return, she mocked, insulted, and treated him with chilling indifference. A young boy came home from school every day, cooking and taking care of his father, but couldn't even get a word of comfort. Now, wearing red at the grave, kowtowing, crying, and apologizing, is it remorse or just an act? When it was time to fulfill her responsibilities, she ran away. But when money was involved, she returned. Was it fate playing a cruel joke or the bitter fruit of her own making? In my opinion, she is a complete traitor who didn't even leave a shred of dignity for her dead husband. When someone abandons their husband and child and then comes back for the inheritance, does she even deserve to inherit? What do you think about this woman? Feel free to leave your comment. I'd love to hear your thoughts. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe to our channel for more content like this.
So